Massive moves are coming to the St. Louis Blues as GM Doug Armstrong revealed shocking details on multiple players heading into this offseason, with insiders going as far as saying that they're moving on from a star player. We're going to break down all of this, the massive implications, and these players later on this episode. Before we get into that, if you're a part of the 88.6% watching this and you're not subscribed yet, and you want to stay up to date on everything to do around your St. Louis Blues and the rest of the NHL, make sure to go down and hit that free subscribe button, and we'll keep you up to date on everything to do around the league. But with that, Darius, we got up straight into it today, where we did see Doug Armstrong speaking out in his end of season media availability, revealing a lot about a lot of players as well. The first one being, we seen him go in just talking about Torey Krug and how it's pretty much looking like his career could be done. You can read through this. I don't really think there's much uncertainty with Torey. I talked to him. He was at the rink the other day. He's just getting almost normal day-to-day living with his ankle. You can pause. You can read through this. But what is your thoughts on Torey Krug looking at never playing another game for the St. Louis Blues? Doug continued on by saying, yes, I want him to return. We want him playing. But with this cap hit, if he does go, that does open up quite a lot of room. I don't know your thoughts on this. And what do you think the Blues would do with this extra cap space?
This has a lot of, implications moving forward for the team in terms of salary cap space. But in terms of the player, I mean, awful news. We knew earlier this season that, this was a possibility that maybe he would never play again after, the whole procedure and everything that's happened with his ankle. But, hopefully that he's all right and he's still able to, move around day to day and, he's pain free and all of that. So hopefully he's okay, as a human being, first and foremost. But, in terms of the game, obviously it doesn't look like he's going to make a return, right? Like he would be, doing his own training camp already, getting ready for next season if that was the case. And for, Doug Armstrong to come out and say that that's not happening, like I don't think it's very likely that he's returning to the league. So he was another really great defenseman for, the St. Louis Blues, and he spent some time with the Boston Bruins as well. So that is unfortunate. But in terms of the salary cap space, I mean, they free up quite a bit of cap space here. They can go out, and again, we were talking about it in the video yesterday. They have the opportunity here if they move maybe a couple players or, make a trade or, there's a lot that they can do with the salary cap space. And the fact that it's going up significantly over the next couple of years, they can do something very significant here to turn the team around quicker. And I say turn the team around. They made the playoffs, right? But what I mean is to, make this process quicker, to become a contender faster. They can go out and make a trade. So I think this really changes things. And Torey Krug is a great player. They could use him in the lineup, but at the same time, what they did with the blue line this year, like I think I don't know, let us know in the comments, Blues fans. Like I think I have a lot of confidence in that blue line. Maybe they could add a piece or two more because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Nick Leddy and even Justin Falk at this point. But it could be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, I think that frees up a lot of salary cap space, and we'll see what Doug Armstrong has up his sleeve.
And I mean, looking at this, Blues fans, what would you like to do with the cap space? Is it go out to get another forward? Would you like to take the 6.5 to add another defenseman to the team? What is your thoughts on just its comments going into the offseason with Torey Krug? Let us know down below. But let's hop into the biggest topic today, where we did see an insider for the St. Louis Blues, Jeremy Rutherford, and I'm going to link this down below, speaking on the possibility of Jordan Kyrou being moved. He said, but does he match the vision for the future? Specifically, Schenn wanting a Steen's vision. That remains to be seen. He continues on to say, while there's been interest in him around the NHL in recent years, his stock might be a little higher this summer after the season he just had. Now, we know a lot of Blues fans really like Kyrou, and a lot of fans are looking for him to kind of move on. We know the vision they want this player to be. I mean, he's been ecstatic with the team, going through, putting up almost 70 points every single season. He didn't have the best playoffs. I mean, 3 goals is great, but you would have liked to see more scoring out of your top-end guy, getting paid quite a bit of money. But just kind of throwing you to Darius, what is your thoughts on the Blues maybe looking at a trade right now to move Kyrou out to bring in a different type of player?
I think there's Blues fans out there that are looking at this and saying, yes, please let this happen. We saw some people in the comments saying this, and there's a lot of Blues fans that are saying this would be dumb to do at this point, right? Still a very young player that's putting up almost, a point a game every single season. He's in the 70-point range every single season. So he's putting up really good numbers. And I think that when you look at, his salary cap, his cap hit towards the team. And you look at the fact that, something we haven't mentioned yet is his no movement clause kicks in July 1st, right? In just a couple months here. So you either trade him now or you're not trading him, and then that could become a problem. I say a problem, the salary cap's going up, but it could become a problem in the way that if he doesn't produce in the playoffs, which he hasn't really, that could become a problem for the team. You want guys who are going to produce in the playoffs. And one thing that you mentioned as well is Alex Steen is kind of waiting in the weeds to become the GM, right? They've done something here with the St. Louis Blues that we haven't really seen around the league, where they kind of have him in a training program per se the last couple of years to come up and be the GM eventually. And does Jordan Kyrou fit his vision for this team? Because we know the way that the St. Louis Blues play and have always played, and what they found success doing. And I think Jim Montgomery's kind of trying to bring that back, and what Craig Berube had the team doing as well. I don't know if he fits that style. So he's a great player. He's a great player. Can he produce in the playoffs? He didn't really do that this year. I mean, still, like you mentioned, like 3 goals, not bad, right? But can he, bring it to that next level? It remains to be seen. And if you do want to move off of him, it's got to happen in the next 2 months. So I think things are going to get really, really interesting here, because it's a business. At the end of the day, you got to make tough decisions. And if the Blues go, I don't know, he hasn't really fit our vision so far, is he going to do that in the next 4 years? You're going to have to make a decision here.
And I mean, listen, looking at the contract, the no movement clause kicking in on July 1st, like you said, if they don't move it before this, he could decline every trade that comes through. He could say, hey, I don't want to move. I want to be with this team for the rest of my career. And listen, if Jordan Kyrou is on this team for the next 7, 6, whatever years it is left on the deal, I'm not mad at this. I think Kyrou's a great player. He can perform. We need to see more in the regular season. But kind of going back with the Craig Berube thing, you see a lot of times these GMs build a roster to what the coaches want. We've seen Jim Montgomery come in and not really be able to decide or dictate the roster going into a season, as he was brought in midway through after being fired by the Boston Bruins. So looking at the list, if you want a heavy, hard-playing hockey team, there's a lot of guys that do this on the list. But if they want to move on from Jordan Kyrou to go out and get a more physical guy in that top 6, I'm not going to say a Brady Tkachuk, because obviously they're probably never going to move him. But for a player in that type of caliber, a big body that can make an impact, someone that has performed in the playoffs, it's going to get very interesting on what they do with it. I mean, listeners, I'm going to kind of throw at you. Would you look at this as a situation where they're going to say, hey, we're going to move Jordan Kyrou plus more assets to bring in a big name? Or could you see this be a situation where they're like, hey, we're going to move Jordan Kyrou to another team, bring back smaller assets, draft picks, prospects, and kind of work like that with all the guys coming up like Dvorsky throughout the system?
I think that at this point in time, with where the team is at, do I think they can do either of those? Absolutely, right? I do think that. But what I would do, what I think that they should do is, first of all, not trade Jordan Kyrou. I think that it's an option, and maybe they have to consider it. That's for sure. At least have a conversation, but not to trade Jordan Kyrou, because he's a great player. Are you going to get equal value back for him in a trade for him, right? I don't know. That rarely happens in the NHL, right? Like, look at the Mikko Rantanen trade. Did they get equal value? Maybe the Avalanche did, right? But then they ended up losing to him in the first round, right? So you have to be careful of those things sometimes. And with where the Blues are at right now, if you're trading Jordan Kyrou for little pieces that maybe, you can package up and go out and get somebody else, that could be okay. But unless you're, absolutely sure that that's what's going to happen, I think it's very risky, because this team is looking to make the playoffs and actually compete, right? Like, they have a lot of older pieces. It's a good mix of older pieces, veteran pieces, and really good young talent. So I would keep Jordan Kyrou, see what you have in him. It's going to be difficult to trade him eventually, but with the salary cap going up, I feel like you might be able to get a little bit out of that trouble a little bit, or it'll look worse, at least if it's not panning out as you would have liked. But I wouldn't trade him. It's hard to get equal value, and you would have to get something that's equal value or better in a trade there to really make the team better. With where they're at right now, they're not rebuilding anymore. This is a team that, wants to make the playoffs next year and make some noise. I think that the fan base, and I think that some of the players on the team, are genuinely shocked that they're not playing hockey right now.
And listen, the big thing is, if you do not move him, he's still going to be, early 30s going into the end of the contract. You have a lot of money freeing up. As I said, not a lot of key UFAs, but guys like Krug moving out, maybe Falk moving out. There's a lot of ways you can free up cap. The cap raising, if Kyrou stays, it's not a bad contract. 8.1 for almost a point per game, one of the leading scorers on the team every single year, is incredible. But Blues fans, what's your thoughts on the possibility of maybe moving Kyrou out for a different style of player, someone that's harder to play against in the playoffs, someone that produced in the playoffs. Like we said, Kyrou has had a couple playoffs where he has produced, but the most recent one, 3 goals in 7 games. I mean, you're looking at Snuggerud with 4 points, and you're wondering, why are we paying this guy $7 million more? I know it's an ELC, but what's your guys' thoughts on it? Let's go down and leave a comment down below while you're down there. Leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with more St. Louis Blues content, so keep your eye out for that. If you want us to cover something in particular, go down and leave a comment down there about that as well. But I've been your host, Mark, my co-host, Darius, and take care.